Well, now we know when. The history of the Java and what. That is, what is the Java technology? What is the Java programming language? And what is the Java platform? And the third question here is where Java? That is, where we will use Java. What purpose the Java technology is for? Well, here's a picture. Inside the picture, we can see three different boxes. Standard edition, the enterprise edition with green, and the micro edition with red. The standard edition is a very old technology of Java, and since Java is born, it can use the standard edition to write code for desktop application. And when the Java version 2 is born, the application area extends toward two different directions, the server side and the device side. The server side means we can deploy the Java application on the server. We can use the huge and powerful ability to do complex tasks use Java technology. We name this edition as Enterprise Edition, short as E and E. And the other side, the macro edition, means we can deploy Java application on devices and the consumer electronics device such as the mobile phone, the pagers, or top set boxes. We limit macro edition as short as ME. Well, here we have three different application area: standard edition for desktop, for personal computers application, macro edition for consumer electronic devices, and enterprise edition for the server side, for server application. And among them, the standard edition is a foundation. It's very important support technologies inside standard edition for all of the Java applications. In our course, we only focus on standard edition. So if you're interested in the other side of the application, for example, the micro edition, you want to write something for the phones, or enterprise edition, you want to build a web application system, well, you should learn by yourself. Well, next, we will get them in detail. What Java technology can do in detail, there are a bunch of softwares, the programs written in Java. There's applets, there's desktop applications, and applets is a code running in the browser. And desktop applications may have graphic user interface or not. It's a common application type. And servlets. The servlets is application code running on a server. Use the enterprise edition technology. And the Midnet is technology used in the consumer side, in the consumer electronics devices. And APKs is another code running inside the phone, the Android device. And the application for big data processing is use the server-side power to process the big data using Java technologies. Well, let me give you some examples. A about them. The first is the desktop applications. Use Java Standard Edition. We use Java Standard Edition technologies. The desktop application running desktop, running a personal computer. Yeah, we use the Java technology to write the software, and the software running on our own computers. Maybe our system will be Windows, Microsoft Windows, or the Apple Mac. Well, that's okay. It's desktop applications use Java Standard Edition technology. And then next, it's Apps. The Apps, we know that Apps is a code running browsers. Inside the browser, we have a JVM as a plugin. And the JVM can interpret the Java bytecode. The code, remember, it comes from the web server. From web server, they download the code. Here is the web server. Download code into your browser and running the JVM inside the browser. Here, example, we have applets which is used for demonstrate sine waves. Well, it have a graphic user interface to show you how the sine waves looks like. So we can change the parameters and we will see the result. As the parameters change, we have different kind of waves. That is very useful for online education service. It's easy for students to understand how sine waves works. Okay, it's app it's about. And next is a server-side application or the enterprise application. The enterprise application includes the servlets, the Java code running the server, and the beans, the enterprise Java beans and web services, and all of them running the server. Maybe the service come to build clusters, or the resource are demanding, the clouds running on clouds or running clusters. We use clouds or clusters, the powerful processing resource. We use technologies and get a very powerful processing abilities that allow us to process the big data, the huge data, or to run a very complex algorithm using the artificial intelligence to do some complex analysis towards a big data to huge data. Well, this service is widely used in today's applications. For example, if I get a phone, use a phone, the phone app in the phone will provide us application location service. For example, the location service will get the phone, open the app. There's a map and show where we are. Remember, inside the phone there's no map. Where the map service come from? It's from the server. The server has a map, and our phone will send our location, the GPS data, to the server, and the server gets the data and get where we are and return the data within the position of us to the phone and show our position on the map. This is how the server side and the consumer side worked together. This enterprise edition, enterprise applications. Next, it comes to the application, the Java application running on the consumer side devices. The first one is the Android phones. The application running on the Android phones, we name it as APK. Well, it's a specific name. And now we know we have two kinds of popular smartphones. One is iPhones, which is use the iOS operating system. Another it's Android phones, which is use Android operating system. And only the Android phones can running Java applications. And inside Android phones, we have a JVM. But this JVM is not a pure Oracle certified JVM. It is certified by Google. Its name is Dervik JVM. So we name it DVM. And the Java code is written for the specific virtual machine, but we still use Java programming language. So if you have mastered the Java programming language, you can write code for your Android phones. It's a very interesting programming area. And this Java application can run in all kinds of Android devices, including the phones, the tablets, or the wearable devices such as watches. Next, we'll see there is a phone. This phone is, well, it's quite old. Yes, it is phone, it is smartphone that is born before the Android phone or the iPhone. I think it's before the 2006 or 2005 or 2006. Well, we have this kind of old phone, the old smartphone which use the Windows system, the Windows phone, or the Linux system. On this system, we have deployed JVM on it because the old smartphone has very limited memory space, so the JVM we must make it small enough. So this JVM is very tiny. It only use very small storage spaces, and the name is KVM. The K stands for the kilobytes, kilobytes virtual machine. Yes, and on this virtual machine, we run a code. The Java code name is midnight. Here's an example for midnight. At midnight, running on the KVM of this it's very old smartphones. But today, it's out of date. We never use it again. Well, it comes to embedded devices. Wow, embedded devices is a very popular area because this kind of embedded devices is very cheap. Well, we know it's used the Raspberry Pi. We name it Raspberry Pi, and this kind of circuit we can buy it at a very cheap device, a very cheap price. About I think maybe it's just 20 or $30 for one circuit. Inside the circuit is a tiny computer system, and we have this input and output interface, the GPIO. Anyways, I bus, and we have the network connections such as Wi-Fi or Bluetooth or other kind of network communications technologies. So this device is very useful as embedded devices. We can put it because it's very cheap. Put it inside everything. For example, now we have a night. Yes, and maybe the night is a bulb. Well, we put an inbuilt system in it. It's known as our inbuilt system, inbuilt device, inbuilt system, embedded system inside the night, and it becomes smart night. A smart night. Well, we have a sensor. The sensor can detect, well, now it's day or that night. If it's day, well, the night is keeps turned off. But if here today, now it's night. It's evening. Well, so the night will be turned on, okay, automatically. It's a smart night, and use this embedded device as the control unit for this night. So the night is a turn night, a common night, to a smart night. Well, inside the Raspberry Pi, we can use a C or use Python as the program language, but we can use Java as a program language. It's easy to use. We have lots of application program interface for this kind of embedded devices. Just use Java on these embedded devices to make your own smart devices. It's very interesting. Just try. And because it's very cheap, so we use it everywhere. Okay. And next, well, it's a card. But it looks like common card, but it's not a common card. We have lots of card today. Uh, for example, we have the common used card. Well, it's a radio frequency card. A radio frequency card, we have chip. Here's a chip on it, and this chip, we use this chip to store data in it and read it from the chip. But it's not a smart card because the chip is not computer. But the Java card, it's a real intelligent card. Inside the card, there's a computer system here. And we have the storage space and write codes, the code name and coordinates. We put coordinates into these cards. And the coordinates can running on this card. When we insert card in the card reader, it can running as card. So it's a real computer. And inside one card, we store 20 or 30 different coordinates for it. So it's quite useful if you want to access bank services. So you just bring the card to a bank or just simply download a card net from the bank. So the card, well, now it becomes a bank card. And if you want to use a card to put gas into a car, so you download a card net from the petrol corporation, and your card that become a gas card, and use a card to refuel your gas. So it's a real intelligent card. So if you have one card, you can throw away all of your other cards, and this card, it's a real intelligent card. But today, because this card is so far this card is quite expensive, so it's not widely used. But in the future, if the price of the card will become lower and lower, and more application will be deployed on this card. This is about the card, the intelligent card, the Java card, and cardnet. Well, next one will show you a very interesting application using Java technologies is the Ledgers application. The Ledgers is an open source operation system. It's a Java operation system. Yeah, and this is the Nego control unit, EV3. EV3 is a kind of control unit that if we insert the card which installed this Ledgers, it's an operating system, we put this operating system on its card, we insert it to control unit and reboot. And control unit, it's become a machine that have a JVM on it. It's a JVM. So you can write Java code on this device. You only use Java. And we have this control unit, and then we'll build a robot. And the robots, the control unit, we have interface so we can connect a photoelectric sensors, and we can connect with motor. And the photoelectric sensors will detect the track. We use the black color, we make the tracks and detect, and it's control unit and sensors can detect the tracks and make its routes, and then output the power to the motors. And so this wheel, well, it uses wheel to go around along the track and make its routes. It's very interesting. It's robots. And because we installed an operating system with support the Java virtual machine, so we can use Java as a programming language, write code for these robots. Well, it's quite interesting application. In the future, maybe you can try it. Well, another stuff I want to show you is what about the JDK and the JRE? There's two different kinds of concepts. In other words, it's different kinds of software. And JRE, here we show where the JRE is composed. JRE is composed of two parts. Well, here is a hotspot. It's JVM, optimized JVM. And the rest of things, well, what are them? They are APIs. So we have JVMs with APIs. So as we know, we got a Java platform. So the JRE, the JRE is a platform, the Java platform. But if we want to develop Java code on our machine, we must have tools. So the JRE, if we add some tools for it, with comparers tools, debugger tools, and lots of tools, bind them together, and we get a software we name it JDK. So in the future, if you want to develop Java application, you must download the JDK software and install it on your computer. But if you only want to run Java code, run the software written in Java on your machine, on your operating system, only the Java platform, only the JRE is required. So you can only download JRE and install it on your computer because the size is quite small than the JDK. So it's different from the JDK. It only have a platform, but JDKs, JRE plus tools, we get JDK. So if you want to develop application, you must have JDKs. But if you only want to run the application writing in Java language, JRE is enough. That's the idea of JRE and JDK.